There are five things to be considered or to be looked at when we are working towards building a positive culture for student learning. The first is we need to understand what culture is. The second, we need to understand the effects of a negative school culture on student learning. The third, we need to understand the effects of a positive school culture on student learning. I also need to identify the indicators of a positive school culture so that we know it when we see it. Then we also going to look at how to actually build the positive school culture. So firstly, what is school culture? So school culture is a combination of many things, many definitions can be given of what school culture is. But to just say it in a word, a school culture brings together the beliefs, perceptions, relationships, and attitudes, the rules that shape and influence every aspect of how the school functions, and student and physical and emotional safety, spatial and infrastructural maintenance, the way racial, ethnic, linguistic, or cultural diversities are handled in a school. These make up the school culture. So there need to be a clear understanding of how these are playing out, how these are being handled, so that the teacher who is trying to develop a positive learning school culture for optimum student learning would know how to navigate around this. It has got to be clear that it takes time, but understanding what culture is first becomes key. Then the second important thing is to understand or to know the effects of a negative school culture on student learning. A negative school culture brings about in an institution or in a school emotional despondency in both teachers and students. It also builds a toxic teacher-student relationship and eventually unproductive behaviors by both students and teachers begin to surface, begin to show. So there is a downward spiral or a downward development of how a culture affects learning in an institution. A school culture determines faculty conversations. So whether it's positive or negative, it will determine how the teachers discuss, what the teachers talk about when they are by themselves, when they are fellowshipping as a board, the faculty. So the faculty conversations also determine faculty commitment. Then the faculty commitment influences faculty effectiveness. And faculty effectiveness affects individual teacher effectiveness. And that effectiveness of the individual teachers affects also the instructional delivery behaviors, and that how they deliver and how they handle their instructional activities will eventually affect student achievement. And student achievement will also drive the student academic performance and behaviors in the classroom. So if culture is positive, this will affect how the teachers converse among themselves, and that will affect how they handle the class activities, and that will also spill into the responses from the students and how eventually the students are going to perform in their class. So a few of how it looks like when a school culture is negative. When it's negative, a general feeling of directionless is evident in the school, among the teachers, among the students. And the teachers also feel apathetic about their work, the same with the students. They are apathetic about their learning activities. And the desire to change or to improve things around the school is very low, if it is there at all. The teachers complain against administration. The students blame the faculty members or the teachers of having personal issues against students and parents of the students who are coming, and the community. They question the sincerity of certain teachers, and teachers complain about the participation of parents in the school activities. So in such a situation, the results are that student discipline rate rises, and student achievement drops. Student and teacher interactions are sparse, making it difficult for students to learn. So that's how a negative school culture affects student learning. But on the other hand, on the other side, the effects of a positive school culture also on learning as follows. So there will be, if the environment, if the climate is conducive in a school, it enhances student achievements. The environment is safe for the students' emotional welfare and their physical welfare. The environment is supportive. The environment is encouraging for the students to learn and the teachers to administer their learning activities. The environment is inciting or uplifting for the students, and it creates also challenges for students and staff to do better. In such an environment, you will see shared values and beliefs, and these will become individual responsibilities, both for the students and for the teachers. There is collaboration, there is communication, and there is productivity in relationships, and there is improvement in the learning activities, learning achievements, and learning outcomes, and there's also improvement in how the teachers develop their, deliver their work, because there's a collegiality, there's a gelling together and a positive attitude around the school. Respect, compassion, goodwill will characterize the relationships that will be going on there. So in such a situation, in such a culture, you will see appreciation for shared values and beliefs. You will see that the improved teacher and student relationships, improved teacher and student achievements and interaction, then an enhanced teacher innovation and creativity. So that's what indicates, or that's the characteristic of a positive culture that influences positively or impacts positively student learning. So more indicators of a positive school culture. There are elements that will be present in a school culture that is positive and that enhances student learning. So we're going to mention these for the purpose of helping the teacher to see the value of such a culture of a culture that's positive, a culture of putting the student in the center and helping the students to learn better. And we're going to mention this in helping responsible teachers to learn to distinguish between a negative and a positive school culture. So creating a desire within the teachers to start to build a positive culture. So in such a situation, teachers and students in a positive learning culture feel energetic and upbeat. Teachers and students work together very well. They strive to achieve common goals. They share strong community bond. Those are the indicators of a positive school culture. There is happiness among students, faculty, and staff. There is positive experiences such as success, joy, accomplishments, and cordial relationships. The teachers have a shared vision, and students are excelling. This is the atmosphere that you want to build as a teacher or as an administrator or an educational leader. There are many of these indicators that we could mention, such as recognition and celebration of teacher-student success, openness, trust, respect and appreciation in relationships, and everyone feels secure emotionally and physically. Teachers are modeling positive and healthy behavior, and should there be mistakes made along in the process and in the interactions, they are considered opportunities to grow, opportunities to correct some things. And collective decision making is enhanced. Criticism is positive, constructive, and well intended. Then there is also, which is also important and should not be neglected, an equitable distribution of the resources of the school, and access to these resources is afforded to all the students. So these are the indicators of a positive school culture, a school culture that encourages maximum student learning. But how do we get to build a positive school culture? How do we go about building a school culture that encourages or maximizes student learning? So we're going to look at how to do this as a way of trying to help the teachers to see the importance of the discussions that that need to be built around the school, the behaviors that need to be built around the school, the perceptions, the views, the beliefs, and the values that needs to be held in the school. So critical areas to be focused on in building a positive learning culture. The first is personal mastery of existing influences of culture, because when we come into a school, or when you're coming into a school, or when you decide to change the culture of a school, you're not starting from a vacuum. There's already there's a culture that is already in place, and you want to master it, you want to understand it. Then you also want to to have mental models of the desired outcome. So you're coming from the old culture and you want to get to the new culture, positive culture. So you want to build mental pictures of that new culture, to visualize it, to be able to see what you are aiming at before you get there. Then you begin to build a shared vision around the mental pictures that you have. You begin to build towards that. You build that vision, you share with stakeholders, and you bring the students on board, the staff on board, administration on board, so that the process will be inclusive and it will be preceded with wide consultations. Then you begin to build teams around the vision of the new culture, where you will be encouraging the students, also all the stakeholders, to be together. Then you begin to think about systems, how you can construct systems around the new culture that you are going to be building. And a few things to look out for, like warnings, things that you need to be wary of, so that you do not fall into serious issues because of the existing culture. So the first is be aware of the already existing culture. If you act as if there is no culture at work, you will end up failing to change it. You end up having unnecessary conflicts. So beware of the already existing culture. Then beware of the many or plethora of sediments of the old culture. So the old culture is a lot of other influences, other values that many people around the college, students, staff, and even the community, the parents, the things that they're still holding on from the old culture. The old culture is not necessarily or entirely bad. There are some things that would be important to carry over. So you need to be aware of those many things that are parts of the old culture. So you also want to begin then after understanding the already existing culture and understanding its extent or scope and its sedimentary parts among the stakeholders. You now then begin to bring parts of your experiences into the new that you're trying to build, the new culture that you're trying to build. So therefore, the new culture should not be too distant from the old one. If it happens that way, you may struggle to find the identity in the new. They should be related somehow with some major changes, of course, happening in there. So the aim to reform school operations, the aim is to reform school operations to improve educational results as well as to enhance continuous learning. So these are the things that you're looking at. You want to reform the school culture. You want to reform the operation systems to improve educational results as well as to enhance continuous learning. So you are going to work on creating a community atmosphere. This is one of the key elements of a positive culture. You want to address bullying. Bullying is endemic in many schools, from the traditional way of teaching, where most of the existing generation of teachers are coming from. Bullying was viewed sometimes as something that is important to kind of orient the new students into the culture of the school, the existing culture of the school. But you want to address bullying, and you also want to celebrate and honor racial, ethnic, and linguistic diversities in the student body, because these are things that are sensitive. These are things that would discourage immediately students from learning. Bullying and ethnic, racial, and linguistic divides. So you want to celebrate them. You want to change that, turn that into positive factors that will contribute to student learning. Then you want to develop a mentorship program where the older students helping the younger students in their learning, where community heads or community leaders, cultural leaders, racial leaders are coming in to provide or to afford learning students to learn better and to fit into the new culture that you're building. And you're also going to have to solicit for feedback. Once you have introduced the new culture, you have to solicit for feedback and develop a team spirit. So these are the things that you're going to have to be looking at. In creating a community atmosphere, encourage good communication among teachers, encourage teachers to share expertise, their individual expertise, encourage collegiality, and encourage productivity. And in addressing bullying in all its forms, you want to do presentations or teachings, extensive teachings on bullying and its negative effects on the students and how it affects negatively the school culture. Then you also want to maybe begin to do seminars and to just inform and to teach students and the staff on the negative effects of bullying. You also want to honor and celebrate racial, ethnic, and linguistic diversities in the student body, host cultural events, for example, invite cultural leaders for special events, and intentionally make connections across cultures, and post culturally friendly materials like billboards, like statements, like make sure everyone sees how inclusive the school is, how open, how the school encourages embracing people from all kinds of backgrounds, especially racial, linguistic, and ethnic backgrounds. Then develop mentorship programs through encouraging and assigning senior students to mentor junior students, and in soliciting for feedback, engage staff, students, parents, and all the community for opinions and recommendation. And develop a spirit of develop a teamwork spirit, team spirit. In that you enlist the help of staff, students, and even the community, parents. You get them involved in appropriate manners in the school, so that this effort of bringing a new culture will be a team effort. It will be something that all the stakeholders, the teachers, the students, the administration, and even the community and the parents are involved in. So this is how a school culture is built. You create meaningful parent involvement, celebrate personal achievements and good behavior, establish school norms that build values, set consistent discipline in the running of the school, and model the behaviors you want to see in your school, engage students in ways that benefit them, and institutionalize rituals and traditions that are fun and that contribute to the new culture that you are wanting to build, and encourage innovation among students and teachers in the classrooms and students in their learning activities. Develop professionalism among teachers, maintain the physical environment of your school in good repair, and show stewardship, prove stewardship in the use of your properties, physical properties, and even in financial issues. Then keep records and reports keep records of the school activities, and celebrate the progress towards the building of a new culture, a positive culture. These are the things that you want to include in your effort to build a new culture. A new culture is critical for student learning. A new culture is indispensable. A positive culture is indispensable in helping students to learn, and in helping teachers to afford positive and effective learning to the students. And you want to be concerned about what culture means. You want to be concerned about the effects of culture in the lives and the experience of the students in the institution to help them learn better. You want to be concerned about how the steps to take in building this culture and the components and the factors that contribute to the building of this new culture.